Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free. Count it all joy, Charles is back online. The Equally Yoked Show. Get yoked for free.
Welcome back to the podcast. This is the Equally Yoked Show, and we are just joining. You're just joining me today in this early hour. We don't usually go live this early in the day. However, I wanted to just go and do sort of reactionary video to the mayoral debate for the three candidates that are for the NYC mayor position. So we're going to be taking a look at that, and I just want to know feel free to take a look at what we're talking about here. And excuse me, guys. So whatever we're talking about here, we're going to try to just react mostly without much commentary, and we are going to just look at what's going on and hopefully could provide you with some type of, some type of decent coverage as to what we're looking at, what we're facing. Well, what New York is facing. I live in California. I'd like to know where you guys are from. I'd like to know if you guys are directly getting involved in any of this. And so first I want to take a look at something that is quite funny, because Katie Porter has really been under fire because of her comments that she said during a broadcast, I want to say. And it was just really bad. She was actually during an interview, and she was cursing to one of her staffers that was sitting behind her, and it was quite funny, to say the least. So I want to show you that video of her publicly apologizing. She's trying to reel it back in, trying to say, well, we're just really involved in this. We'll let her speak for herself. This is interesting. Let's take a look.
Speaking publicly since the now 2 viral videos, what do you want people to know about you? And do you have the temperament to be the next governor of California?
When I look at those videos, I want people to know that I understand that I could have handled things better. I think I'm known as someone who's able to handle tough questions, who's willing to answer questions, and I want people to know that I really value the incredible
Wait.
work.
She is, hold on here. She is not able to handle tough questions. We've seen this before. We've seen her just walk completely off of an interview. And I have the clip right here so that I can show you. Hopefully I can just pull it up really quick. Let me see here. I do believe I have the clip. Should be around here. And you know what? I thought I had the clip. So let's I'm going to find this clip for you just in a moment. I'm going to show you this really quick, and we'll get on with the show. If if you guys are indeed watching right now live, let me know what time it is where you're watching from. California time, 2:45. And so we're going to find this Katie Porter walking out of an interview. So she's not able to handle tough questions as she says that she's able to. So here's this clip here. Let me bring this in to your feed so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here.
The 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump.
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. So you don't
I
think
feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
Well, to those voters. Okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
A California gubernatorial hope.
Oh boy, not with 7 other follow-ups. So she's just pressing more and more. And she's like, look, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to walk out. So she's proven herself already wrong by saying that she wants people to understand. Let's go back here so we can get her words exactly.
Things better. I think I'm known as someone who's able to handle tough questions, who's willing to answer questions.
No, absolutely not. She's not able to handle tough questions. So let's continue on here. Let's see what else she has to say. We've already debunked her wrong on the first spot. First of all, she's running for governor in California. She makes Gavin Newsom look good. She really does. And if she actually does win, man, California is going to be, oh gosh. I can't imagine her winning. I really can't. But it's going to be bad. I'm really curious to see the debates that happen where she's involved in them. I really am.
And I want people to know that I really value the incredible work that my staff can do. I think people who know me know I can be tough, but I need to do a better job expressing appreciation for the amazing work that my team does.
Should California voters feel confident that there aren't any more Katie Porter videos out there?
Well, what I know is that I could have done better in those moments. I'm going to be focused on earning their votes and earning their trust. That's true in every election. I've only ever had tough elections. So I'm absolutely aware that I'm going to have to continue to show them. I'm going to have to answer every question. I'm glad I got to continue that interview and finish that interview and answer all her questions. And that's what I'm going to continue to do, to show Californians not only that I understand their problems, but that I have the will and the strength of character to actually get something done about them.
But not just the CBS interview, the interview with the staffer. Can voters be confident that there won't be another one of those videos that's...
Now, staffers have said, if you can only imagine how she is on camera for interviews, can you only imagine how she is off of camera and not during interviews?
Going to come to light.
What I do know is that I could have done better in that situation.
But that's not a no. So is there potentially another video that we're going to see?
Nikki, I'm going to be honest with you. I know that video was several years ago, as you know, and I apologize to the staffer. That's super important to me, and will continue to try to hold myself to do better. That's what I can promise.
But not that there's not going to be any more videos, because that's what people are wondering. Are we going to see something else like that?
I can tell you what I've told you, which is that I am taking responsibility for this situation, and I'm also not going to back down for fighting back for California, from being tough. I don't think this is a moment where the same old is going to cut it. But that doesn't change the fact that what I did to that staffer was wrong. I've acknowledged it to her in that moment, and I'm acknowledging it now.
Have you heard from any other Democrats? Have they reached out to you?
Yes, of course.
Who has reached out to you?
Oh, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, because I've gotten lots of text messages in the last, as you might expect.
What did they say? Words of support? Can you give me anything specific?
Yeah, well, I mean, as you've seen publicly, many of the groups that support me, groups like the Teamsters, have said that they're proud to stand with me because they know I'm going to fight for California, that they know I'm going to be tough, that they think what's needed is a level of strength of character in this moment. So I think there's been a lot of those comments. I think everybody understands, and I've certainly acknowledged to everyone who's reached out to me, as I am now, that I could have done better. But I'm in this race to make sure that we have a governor who's not going to sit back, who's not going to sit quietly, because we are in a moment where we have to tackle our affordability crisis and we have to withstand the harms that Trump is throwing at California.
The harm that Trump is throwing towards California. Trump has actually wanted to make California better. And the things that he said and the things that he's actually told the media what Gavin Newsom is doing concerning the fires and concerning the sort of things that regarding the Palisades, the work that he's done there already. So how could she be a good candidate for California, really? I mean, I get it. You know, sometimes we get, you know, there might be spouts of frustration and she's, you know, probably under a lot of pressure. Who knows? Who knows? We're not seeing everything behind the scenes. We're only seeing these clips that suddenly sparked and became viral. Now, Katie Porter was not on my radar at all. Popped up on my feed, and I need to look more into her. People are saying that she's really good for the job. So, on a comment here, Elder, you say she's talking about the ICE agents and National Guard. Sure, she didn't mention them directly, but I could imagine the fact that she's saying everything in general when it comes to Trump. Because that's typically what Democrats do, is they'll say, we're going to oppose Trump. And we're going to look at this with the Mamdani interview. Now, if you saw the thumbnail, you saw that this is going to be about the mayoral race for New York, which we're going to be covering that in a moment. We're going to go to that next video. I just wanted to show this because obviously me being in California, I want to make sure that you guys are seeing not just one side of the spectrum on coverage, but I want to show, of course, what's happening in New York, what's happening in California, what's happening across the United States. She does not look in the immediate, with everything that's happening with her, does not look like a good fit for California. We will just have to see what begins to manifest from this point on. So you're saying that she's efficient? She's taught law, you believe, and she's taught at a university, but these aren't necessarily qualifications that make somebody being able to, I don't know, be in the position of governor. I'm sure these things can help. However, I just need to look more into her. Everybody's got some pretty good things to say about her. So she brings the facts. She likes breaking them down. That's her skill. Cool. I'm sure she's got strong suits. Not the suit that she's wearing right now, but I'm sure she's got strong positions. We just have to take a look at how she communicates. But she's already proved herself wrong in this one concerning the CBS interview, saying that she's able to handle tough questions. But I don't know. I digress. Let's continue on to the mayoral, mayoral New York debate here. And as I continue to read your guys' comments coming through, I really appreciate you guys being here as we go through, as we talk about all this stuff. And hopefully it can provide you with any type of insight. We could stop and comment and talk about these things. And we'll just continue to go on about, continue to play the video through. So you might see me comment, you might see me stop, and hopefully I can give you guys a better picture as to what's actually being said, because Mamdani already at the beginning is saying something that is quite concerning when it comes to what the headlines will read. This is the first question that they start off with the debate. Here it is.
We begin tonight by asking you to do what every mayor dreams of, and that is to write your own headlines. Imagine it's January 2027, and you have been in office for exactly 1 year. We would like you to quickly give us one headline about what you think your biggest accomplishment will have been in year number 1. We'll begin with you, Mr. Cuomo.
First, thank you very much for sponsoring the debate and having all of us. The one headline, how many characters in the headline?
You know, you're familiar with headline length.
Rent down, comma, crime down, comma, education scores up, comma, more jobs in New York City.
Now we're getting maybe a little over the average.
So, gosh, anyway, this is not how headlines work. But we already got Andrew Cuomo, who's hoping for the best. And with all these headlines, they're kind of like, you know, giving themselves praise. But Mamdani seems to it far out of left field. Let's hear.
Headline length, but
Optimism high.
thank you. Mr. Sliwa.
Curtis Sliwa is without his iconic red beret because I'm talking to the people of New York City about the really serious issues of affordability, the cost of living, and obviously what I've spent most of my life doing, which is public safety in the streets and the subways.
Now, there's only two candidates here that actually have somewhat of a chance. And that's Cuomo and Mamdani. So far, Mamdani is leading the polls. He's leading in this regard, in this race. So, do these other two have a chance? Maybe. Maybe. Let's continue on here.
Love a headline from you. What will your headline be, your big headline in year number 1 as mayor?
Curtis Sliwa exceeds all expectations and looks very mayoral tonight.
Mr. Mamdani, you've had some time to think about it now. What's your headline?
It's a pleasure to be here, first of all, and I really want to thank the moderators and the opportunity to speak directly to New Yorkers about this moment in time and our opportunity to transform the most expensive city in the United States of America.
And first of all, most of them, they go on a rant before they even tackle the question at first. They start talking. It's a clear indication that they are going to sort of avoid. Anyway, that's my speculation. Anyway, we'll continue on.
The headline would read in about a year, Mamdani continues to take on Trump, delivers on affordability agenda.
Mamdani continues to take on Trump. What he hopes will read in the headlines a year from now. What does that tell you? That he's going to, at every turn, oppose Trump, everything that Trump is trying to do in order to help the states with what people are saying are unconstitutionally bringing in the National Guard, whatever, or ICE agents. So this is concerning. This is quite concerning.
It would read in about a year, Mamdani continues to take on Trump, delivers on affordability agenda for New Yorkers.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
But he can only do that if Trump actually wants to work with him. Because that's where he'll be getting the funding from.
Sally?
Thank you, Melissa. We're going to talk about leadership. Voters have reservations about all three of you as chief executive of New York City, a city with roughly 300,000 employees and a budget bigger than many countries. We have questions for each of you, and Mr. Cuomo, we will begin with you. As a former governor of New York, you obviously have the management experience, but you resigned from office amid sexual harassment and COVID-related scandals. Why should voters now trust that you have the character to be mayor? You have 1 minute.
Good. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the question. First, you are right. I left office. There was a report that was done that had allegations of harassment. I said at the time it was a political report and that there was no basis to it. It was then sent to 5 district attorneys. They all reviewed it. They found nothing. It was then litigated for 5 years. I was dropped from the cases. So none of that came to anything. When it comes to executive experience, I've run the Department of Housing and Urban Development, built housing all across the nation. I was governor for 11 years. The budget is double what it is in New York City, and I got government to work. I passed groundbreaking laws, minimum wage, paid family leave, built projects that had never been built before. This is no job for on-the-job training. And if you look at the failed mayors,
and I think that was a jab to the two other candidates that are there, because they have no experience in any type of anything to this level of management, which is constantly being brought up within the Fox interviews, within other interviews that Mamdani has done, people who are attacking him on, both on social media and in media. And that's what we're seeing. So he's going for that take to attack them on the fact that they're not qualified enough to run. But we've seen many people who aren't necessarily qualified to run for positions. We've seen that with Trump, that everybody said he didn't have the qualifications. However, he said that, well, essentially he's running California like a business. I think he might have said that a handful of times during his races. But we see that I think he's doing a good job, actually. Now, not everything that he's promised has come to pass so far. We've still got another 3 years to go, but we're seeing injunctions from judges. We're seeing people a lot of these rogue judges who are trying to stop Trump from doing what he needs to do, or doing what he needs to do to run the country. And so he can't effectively run the country when he's getting opposed at every turn by Democratic judges who are elected from either a Biden-appointed judge or a Clinton-appointed judge. Now, even then, we still have some where are Clinton-appointed judges or Biden-appointed judges who are actually in favor for Trump on certain things, because they find that that Trump is actually not breaking the law when he's acting on his executive powers. Nobody has been able to prove him from actually acting out of his executive powers.
they're ones that had no management experience. Don't do it again.
Thank you. Serena?
Thank you, Sally. In the theme of leadership, Mr. Mamdani, you work as a foreclosure prevention counselor for winning seat in the State Assembly. You have no substantial management experience. How are you ready to lead the nation's largest and greatest city in the world in one day? You have a minute.
You know, I have the experience of having served in the New York State Assembly for 5 years and watching a broken political system, the experience of seeing a governor in Andrew Cuomo who would rather have served his billionaire donors and the working class New Yorkers who voted for him, and the experience amidst all of that of fighting and winning for working class taxi drivers to free them from predatory debt and delivering the first free bus lines in New York City history, and in working with unions and working class New Yorkers to finally raise taxes just that little bit on Mr. Cuomo's donors to start to fully fund our public school. And more than that, I have the experience of being a New Yorker, someone who has actually paid rent in the city before I ran for mayor, someone who has had to wait for a bus that never came, someone who actually buys his groceries in this same city. And what all of that experience has shown me, which Mr. Cuomo can't seem to understand, is that it is far too expensive and far too hard for New Yorkers to afford to live in this city. And the definition of experience is not doing the same thing again and again and hoping for a different result. That's actually the definition of insanity.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
If I can, I think I was invoked.
Yes.
In other words, what the Assemblyman said is he has no experience. And this is not a job for someone who has no management experience to run 300,000 people, no financial experience to run $115 billion budget. He literally has never had a job. On his resume, it says he interned for his mother. This is not a job for a first-timer. Any day, you could have a hurricane, you have, God forbid, a 9/11, a health pandemic, If you don't know
Thank
what
you,
you're
Mr.
doing,
Cuomo.
people
We have to
could
move on.
die.
Mr. Mamdani,
Yeah.
want to respond?
And if we have a health pandemic, then why would New Yorkers turn back to the governor who sent seniors to their death in nursing homes? That's the kind of experience that's on offer here today. What I don't have in experience, I make up for in integrity. And what you don't have in integrity, you could never make up for in experience.
May I? First, what you said was totally false, as you know.
Which part was false?
During COVID, everyone did whatever they could in this state. And there have been numerous investigations where they've gone through it, and they said we followed federal guidance. But yes, people died during COVID, and my heart breaks for everyone that died in this state and across this nation.
But just to be clear, just to fact check that, there is a criminal investigation reportedly underway at the DOJ about your testimony to Congress about your nursing home record.
Yeah, but that is a political issue with the Congress. They made a referral, which has gone absolutely nowhere. But there have been multiple investigations where the DOJ found that the nursing home investigation was politically motivated.
Okay, we're going to move on. We might have time to come back to it. I do need to move on to Mr.
But may I just finish my rebuttal? But the Assemblyman still says he has no experience to do the job.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. Mr. Sliwa, as founder of the Guardian Angels and as a radio host, you've been a well-known figure in New York City for decades. But you also lack substantial management experience. So how are you prepared to be the chief executive officer of New York City? You have 1 minute, Mr. Sliwa.
First of all, I created the Guardian Angels to provide public safety in the subways and streets when government was incapable of doing so. I didn't do it to get a title or a paycheck. Secondarily, I don't declare myself to be all-knowing. I will hire the very brightest and best in their fields who have dedicated their lives to trying to improve the city of New York or the state or the federal government or the private sector. But what I will say is, thank God I'm not a professional politician. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of no cash bail, which has been a disaster. We have the architect and the apprentice here of Raise the Age. My own son was almost killed because of that in a gang attack. We have the architect and we have the apprentice of Close Rikers Island, which would just release criminals in the street. Thank God I'm not a professional politician because they have helped create this crime crisis in the city that we face, and I will
Thank you,
resolve.
Mr. Sliwa.
Thank you. Mr. Sliwa, candidates, President Trump has expressed intense interest in this election and in all of you personally. Mr. Mamdani, the president called you, quote, my little communist. Mr. Sliwa, he said you're, quote, not exactly prime time. And Mr. Cuomo, he has been critical of you, but said you have always gotten along. The president has threatened to cut federal funds to the city. And just yesterday, he killed the Gateway Project, the tunnel connecting New York to New Jersey. You've all promised to resist him in some way. What would you say in your first official call with the president to set the tone for your relationship moving forward?
This is going to be interesting.
We'll give you a minute for this. We'll start with you, Mr. Mamdani.
I would make it clear to the president that I am willing to not only speak to him, but to work with him if it means delivering on lowering the cost of living for New Yorkers. That's something that he ran his presidential campaign on, and yet all he's been able to deliver thus far has been prosecuting his political enemies and trying to enact the largest deportation program in American history. And what distinguishes me from Andrew Cuomo is the fact that he has gotten on the phone with that same president, not asking him how to work together to help New Yorkers, or not telling him that he would refuse to back down to protect those New Yorkers, but instead asking him how to win this race. That's something I can do myself. I don't need the president's assistance for. And what I'd tell the president is if he ever wants to come for New Yorkers in the way that he has been, he's going to have to get through me as the next mayor of this city.
All right, Mr. Cuomo, we'll give you a little extra time, but I'd like you to answer this question as well, what your first conversation with the president would be like.
Okay. First, I never had a conversation with the president that the Assemblyman is talking about. But he has a distant relationship with the truth. I would say to the president in the first conversation, look, we have had many, many battles. We fought together every day during COVID. And the battles were bloody. And I'd like to avoid them. If you come after New York, you know what I'm going to do. You know it's going to be ugly. And my chances are almost 50-50, even though you're the president. I'd like to work with you. I think we can do good things together, but number one, I will fight you every step of the way if you try to hurt New York.
Unless he weaponizes the justice system to go after the attorney general of this state, in which case you'll issue a statement that doesn't even name the president. And no matter what you think about Donald Trump, you know that not even being able to name him is an act of cowardice. And that's what we would see from Donald Trump's puppet on the right over here.
I do want to get Ms. Sliwa, but Mr. Cuomo, I'll give you a few seconds to respond to that.
Yeah, I said political weaponization of the justice system is wrong. Both sides do it. It's wrong when Donald Trump does it. It's wrong when they did it to Comey. It's wrong when Comey did it to Hillary.
Okay.
It was wrong when it happened to Tish James.
Thank you, Mr. Cuomo. I want to give Mr. Sliwa a chance to answer this. Mr. Sliwa, your first official conversation with the president, what would you say to set the tone?
Well, first of all, there's high levels of testosterone in this room. I've had a love-hate relationship with Donald Trump that goes back over 30 years. But I know one thing. We have Andrew Cuomo. We have Zoran Mandami. They want to take on Donald Trump. Look, you can be tough, but you can't be tough if it's going to cost people desperately needed federal funds. Zoran Mandami, the president, has already said he's going to take $7 billion out of the budget right from the start if you're elected mayor. People are going to suffer in this city, people who need those federal funds. What I would do is sit and negotiate. I would say, look, Mr. President, we need that Gateway Tunnel. It moves millions of people from Washington, D.C. to Boston. But take away the Q train project. We don't need those 3 stations going from 96th Street to 125th. It's not a necessity. Sit with the president and whoever he delegates and try to negotiate. But if you try to get tough with Trump, the only people who are going to suffer from that are the people of New York City.
Okay, Mr. Sliwa, thank you.
Now, how could we effectively make New York great? Because Mamdani's got his proposals, Andrew Cuomo has his proposals, and then we also have, what's his name? Curtis, who has his proposals with actually trying to negotiate with Trump. Now, whether who thinks he either is right, I think we need to really think about this thoroughly. How could New York become this sort of pinnacle city as it once was? I don't live in New York City. I visited New York City back in 2019 or 2020 actually. I got to see it somewhat for myself. However, I don't live there, so I don't know. What could make New York a good city? What do people, for those who are listening in New York, what would make New York a good city? What could change that could make New York the best city to live in? I'm talking about New York City, not in the suburbs of New York. Maybe it's more moderate out there. Get Democrats out. I like that answer. I like that answer. Mamdani and a lot of taxing the rich. Vote for those who don't accept bribes. Now, that is a interesting question that the Fox interview host during one of the interviews with Andrew or Mamdani asking or talking about the taxing the rich 2% more because they're already taxed 50% of the 1% of the top 1% in New York City that live there. And apparently he's got the backing of billionaires where they're willing to accept more taxes so that they can fund whatever free projects that he wants to put out there for the people who are poor or living, because living there and it's just the affordability is just not there and he wants to tax the rich, give it to the poor. But you're right, he can't just say it's free. It's not free. It's pulling from the rich and giving that out. Look, if you were in that position, YouTube punk, and you may very well be, who knows? But if you were in the 1%, because I don't know much of you other than here on YouTube, but if you were in that 1%, would you like that money to be taxed from you? I think personally, those who are blessed with riches, I think in general should help. But now mandatorily being pulled away from you, and it's like you're losing what you've worked hard for. For those who actually worked for the money, where they're working hard in their businesses and they're giving it to people that don't want to do anything. They want to live in, they want to be comfortable. It makes sense for those who want the affordability and who actually want to build a business for themselves, build a life for themselves, and get out of that mindset, get out of that poverty level, to starting your own business, to starting your own company, to starting your own, hiring employees so you can then be in that position. This is the great thing about capitalism. Anybody can get there should they have the willingness to get there.
Thank you. Brief response, Mr. Mamdani.
Mr. Trump is already suspending infrastructure grants to this city, and he's doing it in a blatant act of political retribution. And what it requires is leadership that will stand up to him. And I disagree with Mr. Sliwa. We do need to extend the 2nd Avenue subway to 125th Street. It was a promise made to Harlemites decades ago.
Okay.
It's time to actually fulfill it.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Okay, quick question for each of you. Mr. Cuomo, you've been asked this before.
He mentioned my name. Don't I get a chance to respond?
Well, we got a lot of ground to cover, Mr. Sliwa.
When was the last time you spoke with President Trump, Mr. Cuomo? You've been asked this before, and the last time you said you couldn't remember?
I believe it was during his assassination attempt.
So last year in 2024. Mr. Sliwa, when was the last time you spoke with President Trump?
Oh, many years ago, we were receiving awards. I was praising him for saving the annual Veterans Day parade. Those were the conversations that I had with him. Can I please respond? I was asked about the Q train.
Okay, real quick.
Mamdani?
I am the mayor of mass transit. We do not need a Q train. I'm in the subways every day. We have more than a capable system of transporting people.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
The infrastructure needs to be fixed in the system that we have.
Mr. Mamdani, have you ever spoken with President Trump?
No.
Okay, there you go. Sally.
Thank you. Mr. Cuomo, a follow-up to that. President Trump has spoken positively about you and your candidacy, even as his Justice Department, as we've noted, is reportedly investigating you for allegations you lied to Congress over your COVID record. Given that dynamic, how would you be able to stand up to this White House? How are you not compromised? And just take into account that New Yorkers are troubled by what they view as a compromised relationship the current outgoing mayor has with the president.
Yeah. First, you're wrong when you say there's any investigation of me. That's not true.
Do you have evidence there is no investigation?
I've heard absolutely nothing. Congress did a press release. They said they sent a letter to the Department of Justice, which they do routinely to generate press, and that's what that is. I fought Donald Trump. He investigated me repeatedly with the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice Inspector General said that it was actually politically motivated. That does not back me up. When I'm fighting for New York, I am not going to stop. And I'll tell you something else. If the Assemblyman is elected mayor, Donald Trump will take over New York City, and it will be Mayor Trump who runs New York City.
We have to move on. Just a very quick follow-up, yes or no. You're saying unequivocally the Justice Department is not investigating you, correct?
I've heard absolutely nothing.
They could be, and you might not have heard it. But OK, we'll move on. David?
OK. Thank you, Sally.
That is virtually impossible, by the way.
Okay.
So, Mr. Cuomo, you did put out an ad the day after the news first broke in the New York Times that you were under investigation, calling it a political investigation, saying they were coming after you as they had to after other Democratic politicians. You haven't denied this
That
previously.
the Republican Congress was. Yes, I believe they play politics with the justice system.
Okay.
I believe the Republican Congress does it. I believe Donald Trump does it. I believe the Democrats do it. And that's why I think people are sick and tired of the justice system and the politics.
If you think that there's no difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, then that's the candidate for you. If you think it's time to have a Democratic Party that actually stands up to Donald Trump and his billionaire-backed assault on working people,
thank you, Mr. Mamdani. You're
not a Democrat.
Candidates,
right? You're not a Democrat. You're a Democratic socialist.
Candidates, we have
you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, right?
We have other ground to cover. We have other ground to cover.
That's an incendiary charge. I want to be very.
You may have a chance to address it, but we do.
I'll be very quick.
A lot of issues to get to with New Yorkers, Mr. Mamdani.
I'll be very quick.
You didn't say leave it blank in the Kamala
I'll be very
campaign?
quick. I said leave it blank in the presidential primary because primaries are a place to air dissent. And like many Americans, I was horrified by the Israeli genocide of Palestinians. And if you want to look for me on the ballot, you'll find me as the Democrat.
Mr. Mamdani, thank you. We have to move on. This week, the world is reacting to President Trump's Israel-Hamas peace deal and the release of the hostages. And many are cautiously optimistic about a lasting peace. Of course, the mayor has no direct role in foreign affairs, and we certainly have a lot of questions for you about city matters. But this war has been a major topic in the campaign, and there are criticisms about your positions in the past and how you envision leading on these issues as mayor. So we have questions for all of you, but first for Mr. Mamdani, because of something you said that's been generating headlines in the news today as we come into the debate yesterday on Fox News. You were asked if Hamas should lay down its weapons, key to the peace plan and ceasefire. And some say they found your answer confusing. You said, quote, I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas and that applies to the Israeli military. So for the voters...
Now, he is doing almost word for word quoting on his interview on Fox. I forget her name. Yeah, I don't remember her name. I have the video here, but so he's quoting word for word. I think it's with this latest Fox interview. So we're going to continue on and see exactly what his response is, because he didn't have any type of words and no comments on if they should lay down their arms, because we're watching public executions of Hamas killing innocent Palestinians. And the conversation is on social media is, where are the Palestinian protesters? They all seem to be silent. Nobody's talking about it. It's very interesting. So let's see his response.
Tuning in tonight, Mr. Mamdani, what do you believe about Hamas and how lasting peace will be achieved? We know it's a complicated matter, but we'd like you to keep your answer to a minute if you could.
Of course, I believe that they should lay down their arms. I'm
go.
proud to be one of the first elected officials in the state who called for a ceasefire. And calling for a ceasefire means ceasing fire. That means all parties have to cease fire and put down their weapons. And the reason that we call for that is not only for the end of the genocide, but also an unimpeded access of humanitarian aid. I, like many New Yorkers, am hopeful that this ceasefire will hold. I'm hopeful that it is durable. I'm hopeful that it is just. And for it to be just, we also have to ensure that it addresses the conditions that preceded this, conditions like occupation, like the siege, and apartheid. And that is what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah. If I may, that means from the river to the sea.
I'm being marginalized out of this.
I'm sorry.
It's a debate of three. Excuse me, Andrew. It's a debate of three. Do we acknowledge that? Three people?
Mr. Sliwa, go ahead, and we'll give you a second. Go ahead, Mr. Sliwa.
The President of the United States should have been applauded by you, Zoran Mandami, and you, Andrew Cuomo, on the day that he brought together that international coalition that met in Egypt, that came from the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. I certainly applauded him for bringing peace to Gaza and trying to end the hostilities in the war between the Israelis and Hamas, so there can be peace between the Israelis and peace between the Palestinians. But you seem, Zoran, to be incapable of praising our president. And Andrew, you were incapable of praising our president.
Gentlemen, we have
Give credit where credit is due. He's brought peace to Gaza.
Yeah, gentlemen, we want to hear everything you have to say. We have other questions on the matter. Mr. Cuomo, please, brief response, because we do have other questions on this issue that you may be able to address. Go ahead.
I did applaud President Trump and his administration. I think it was a great accomplishment. I hope the peace holds. The assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The assemblyman will not denounce Hassan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. The assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on occupation. That is code, meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, which he has never acknowledged. That is from the river to the sea. That's why he won't denounce globalize the intifada, which means kill all Jews.
Let's give Mr. Mamdani a chance to respond to that.
I want to be very clear. The occupation is a reference to international law and the violation of it, which Mr. Cuomo has no regard for since he signed up to be Benjamin Netanyahu's legal defense team during the course of this genocide. And I find the comments that Hassan made on 9/11 to be objectionable and reprehensible. And I also think that part of the reason why Democrats are in the situation that we are in, of being a permanent minority in this country, is we are looking only to speak to journalists and streamers and Americans with whom we agree of every single thing that they say. We need to take the case to every person, and I'm happy to do that, which is why I was on Fox News yesterday talking about how I wish it was more like NASCAR, so we could see all the billionaires who are sponsoring you right on your suit jacket.
Melissa has another
We're going to turn it to Sally, actually.
Yeah, actually, this kind of flows, and then we'll go back to Melissa. Mr. Mamdani, you told NBC's Meet the Press that you don't believe it's the role of the mayor to police speech. Your words about this war have comforted many New Yorkers, but they've troubled others, and I want to ask about some of this. There is your recent refusal, as we just discussed, to condemn the slogan, globalize the intifada, which many view as a call to arms. In 2017, you rapped lyrics praising the Holy Land Five. These are men who were convicted of supporting terrorism. How would you assure New Yorkers, especially Jewish residents who might be concerned about this, that you would be a mayor for all? You have 1 minute to answer this.
Thank you for this opportunity. When I am speaking about the responsibility of leading this city, I mean leading not just those who voted for me, leading not just those who vote, but leading every single person who calls this city home. And that includes Jewish New Yorkers. And I have been so thankful for the opportunity I've had to sit with so many Jewish New Yorkers over the course of the primary and through the general. And it's in those conversations that I learned that this phrase evokes many painful memories. Memories of bus attacks in Haifa, of restaurant attacks in Jerusalem. And I heard from a rabbi about their roommate who was killed on one of those buses. And in hearing that and the distance between that impact and the rationale that some use of saying it, of speaking about the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land, is why I said that I would discourage this language that I do not use. And what I'm looking to do as the first Muslim mayor of this city is to ensure that we bring every New Yorker together. Jewish New Yorkers, Muslim New Yorkers, every single person that calls this city home, that they understand they won't just be protected, but they will belong.
Mr. Sliwa, we will get to you. First, I'm going to ask a question of Mr. Cuomo. While you are a strong supporter of Israel, you have also been slow to develop a relationship with the city's Muslim community. You have called Mr. Mamdani a terrorist sympathizer. How do you assure those New Yorkers, especially Muslims and Arabic New Yorkers, that you will be a mayor for all? You'll have 1 minute.
Yeah, well, first, I think the assemblyman created the perception himself. Why wouldn't he condemn Hamas? Why wouldn't he condemn Hassan Piker? Why did it take us here tonight for the first time for him to say it? He still won't.
By the way, I want this poll to keep running through because I want you guys to vote on who you guys think is going to take the cake when it comes to this mayoral race. It seems like Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Slew are just about tied in this chat. But 49% of you actually say Zohran Mamdani is going to take it. And you might be right. You might get what you actually want. Now, the question is, do New Yorkers, are they going to be actually happy in a year's time once he is indeed been in the position to do all the things that he wants to do to make a more socialist New York economy? So for those that are voting, thank you. I want to get your guys' opinions. I don't find Mamdani to be too, how do I put this? Legitimate. I think we're going to find a lot of opposition during his mayoral position. A lot of nonsense. I could see the headlines as if they would be, stuff regarding ICE, stuff regarding, I don't know, the things that Trump and him are trying to do, making affordability with New York, or even the money that Trump will withhold, what will this look like? What will be the comments of Mamdani on social media? This is going to be a feud, undoubtedly.
Denounce, globalize the Intifada, which means kill all Jews. Just say, I denounce it. He won't do it. That's the issue.
Mr.
And his
Cuomo,
divisiveness
can you address the question
is
that we're bringing to
chronic.
you? I think you've made the point, but can you please answer about your own relationship with the Muslim community? You did not visit mosques for many years. More recently, you have been.
Yeah, I don't think in any way the assemblyman is representative of the Muslim community, which is a vital community in New York City, and I am very fond of, and I've been working with. I think he's playing his own politics. Many of his positions don't even follow the Muslim faith, so I see them as two totally separate things.
Mr. Mamdani, you want to respond?
You know, it took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality, and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah, except,
You know,
I'm just curious here. Now, I'm not involved in running for obviously any type of mayoral race or gubernatorial race when it comes to why is it that they need to go to mosques in the first place? Why are mosques such a big deal in New York? First of all, it shouldn't matter. That if everybody wants to those who live in New York want a better life in New York, whether they're religious or not, but we don't see them talking about going to Christian churches or Catholic churches, but mosques, why does that matter? Wherever they're holding their, what would you call it? Political rallies. There should be all peoples of faith attending to see exactly who they should run for. Now, if you personally have to go to a mosque and that makes you qualified to be a mayor by visiting these and catering to them, why? It's not like Islam is the main religion, or America was founded under Islam. It was honestly founded under Judeo-Christian values. So it would make sense to go to Christian churches or synagogues, maybe. But why does it matter? Shows that you're listening to all faiths, but they're not going to Christian churches. They're not going to Catholic churches, so they're not listening to all faiths. So your statement there, I mean, it would make sense if they were indeed visiting these other religious places. Have they? I don't know. Please point it out. Let me know what time or what days that they went or what times. So it doesn't make sense. It's pandering regardless. So again, when you're doing your political rallies, we didn't see Trump going to visit mosques. No, he was doing rallies in different parts of the country. When Kamala was doing rallies. Sure, you want to do these in your states. I mean, maybe that's all politicians visit churches. Yes, they literally do. Okay, then I'm wrong. Cool, I'm willing to concede. But there's no sort of emphasis on anything other than these mosques here for Muslims. Especially with these two. Sure, they're trying to cater to all faiths, but that wouldn't be my sort of focus. If they want to hear what I have to say, allow them to come, have good policies, and the word will get around. Utilizing social media well, communicating effectively, I'm not the best communicator at all. I can promise, I can double down on the fact that I'm not the best communicator. I'm not the fastest thinker, nor am I the fastest talker at times. But of course, you'd want to know your people. I get it. You'd want to go around New York, go to the suburbs of New York, go to the farthest reaches of the place in the city in which you're running in. Sure. Why so much emphasis on the mosques?
That is totally false. I worked with the Muslim community for many years.
Name a single mosque you went to when you were the governor. Can you name a single mosque you went to in 10 years?
Before you were ever here.
Before I was here?
Before you were even in state government. I worked with the Muslim community. Yeah. Imams presided over State of the States. We worked in religious working groups, tolerance groups, anti-Semitic groups, etc.
All right, gentlemen. Mr. Sliwa, Rosarita has a specific question for you, but I'll give you a second here.
This is what disturbs me about you.
I think what Mamdani is doing well is he's actually advertising. He's utilizing social media, his platforms, to advance his message further than these other two guys. You don't see much of Cuomo. You don't see much of Curtis. You don't see much of them actually putting as much time and effort into social media. Zohran Mamdani, what he was doing, or probably what he's recognized, is how effective Charlie Kirk was in utilizing social media, in utilizing and really understanding his base, understanding his demographics, on who he can cater to and how he can, I guess we'd have to really figure this out by poll or by speaking to actual New Yorkers. What makes him so popular? What makes them want to vote for him?
You will be celebrating your birthday this weekend. In 1991, I was in the streets of Crown Heights with the Guardian Angels for 30 days and 30 nights when the first Democratic Socialist mayor of New York City, that's right, David Dinkins, was a proud member of the Democratic Socialists of America, abandoned the Jews for 3 days. They were left to their own means. And we protected them for 30 days and 30 nights. Then your favorite mayor, Bill de Blasio, in 2019, abandoned the Jews again when they were being attacked in Williamsburg, in Borough Park, and Crown Heights. And I had to bring the Guardian Angels in for 30 days, 30 nights. Jews don't trust that you are going to be there for them when they are victims of anti-Semitic attacks.
Okay. Brief response, Mr. Mamdani. We have a specific question for you from Rosarita, but Mr. Mamdani, please.
I agree, by the way.
One of the most meaningful experiences I've had over the course of this campaign has been the conversations I've had with Jewish New Yorkers. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me about the door that they've had to lock that they had kept open for 40 years. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me on the M57 about an apartment the speech therapist was trying to sell when a realtor told her, put the Jewish books off the table. Jewish New Yorkers who've told me about their fear in living in this city. And I will be a mayor who finally addresses that, not through the theatrics of the politics on this stage, but through action. I'll do that by ensuring that we have police officers outside of synagogues on the high holy days.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to, and we do have a specific question for Mr. Sliwa. Rosarita.
Thank you, David. Mr. Sliwa, you've called for tougher policing of pro-Palestinian protests, and you've suggested that Mr. Mamdani uses languages that is anti-Semitic. How do you assure New Yorkers that you'll be the mayor for all?
Well, I've been there for all people in all times for 46 years as leader of the Guardian Angels here and around the world. Whether it is a religious violation of people's rights to worship as they choose in a mosque, in a church, in a synagogue, or a shul, whether it's because of racial identity. Remember, in the summer of 2020, Asians were under constant attack because of the lockdown and pandemic. I don't remember Governor Cuomo coming to their aid. You were the governor then. I was out there going into all the neighborhoods, Flushing, Bayside. We were in down in Bensonhurst. We were in Chinatown itself, where Asians were being attacked indiscriminately because they were thought to be carrying COVID. We protected them then. Governor, you were not there for them. De Blasio was not there for them. We understand hate. And in order to counteract hate, You have to get the community involved along with the police to protect people when they're under siege. Jews are under attack now more than ever before. And I don't believe either of you have the capabilities of protecting them with increased anti-Semitism.
That is pure fiction. I passed the no hate in our state, the strongest hate crime law in the United States of America. We tolerate no hatred, no discrimination. We are from every place on this globe, and
unless
we are
it's
proud
you
of
that's
it.
perpetrating
and, excuse me, and we're tolerant and we accept. If you notice, the Assemblyman still won't say he believes that Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish state. He is a divisive personality all across the board. NYPD are racist. Barack Obama is evil, liar, and he gave the finger to the Christopher Columbus statue.
By the way, Cuomo, your laws with no cash bail turn the haters right back in the street to violate and attack again and again and again.
Thank you.
You're the reason for that. No cash bail.
Thank you. You don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you. Go ahead.
There have been a number of absolutely unfounded lies that have been said by Andrew Cuomo. I would just like a moment to address them directly. I've said time and again that I recognize Israel's right to exist. I've said that I will not recognize any states. I said that I will not.
As a Jewish state.
If I would be allowed to finish, that I would not recognize any state's right to exist with a system of hierarchy on the basis of race or religion. I have made that very clear. And part of that is because I'm an American who believes in the importance of equal rights being enshrined in every single country, whether we're speaking about Israel or whether we're speaking about Saudi Arabia. You can stand here and you can lie all you want, but New Yorkers know that.
We have the question.
We want to address some issues here.
All right, and we have another polarizing issue that we would love to discuss with you candidates. And let's talk about the National Guard here in the city of New York. Now, let's go back to Mr. President Donald Trump. One threat hanging over the city is the deployment of the National Guard troops, like he has done, as you all know, in other cities. The NYPD commissioner has rejected the idea as unnecessary, but the president ordered troops to hit the streets of New York. Now, how would you respond? Mr. Sliwa, you have a minute.
There's no need for the National Guard in New York. Kathy Hochul, the governor, when we had a crime crisis in the subways that I'm well familiar with, being down there all the time, unlike my two adversaries, she sent 750 National Guardsmen down into the subways in 2024. Remember the horrible case of Debrina Kawan. Does anybody even say her name anymore? That woman who was set on fire by that migrant. As a result of that, the worst crime I've ever seen committed in the subway system, the governor did the right thing. She sent an additional 250 National Guardsmen, giving us a total of 1,000 National Guardsmen in the subway system, while our mayor, Eric Adams, was telling us it was all a perception. So Governor Hochul has responded. I would tell the President of the United States, since I'm familiar with cities all across America having guardian angels there, if you were going to send the National Guard, you don't need to send them to New York City. There are other cities that could desperately use their help in dealing with their crime crisis.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa. Mr. Mamdani, how would you respond?
You know, I agree with Police Commissioner Tish in that we do not need the National Guard here in New York City. We do not need them for the purpose of safety, because if it was safety that President Trump was so concerned about, he would send them to the 8 out of 10 states that have the highest levels of crime in this country, but he won't, because they're all run by Republicans. What New Yorkers need is a mayor who can stand up to Donald Trump and actually deliver on that safety. When Donald Trump sent ICE agents on people in Los Angeles, Andrew Cuomo said that New Yorkers need not overreact. That is the furthest answer that New Yorkers are looking for. They are looking for someone who will lead, someone who will say that they will have their back, someone who will actually fight for the people of this city. And that's who I am, because I'm not funded by the same donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term, which isn't something that Andrew Cuomo can say.
Thank you, Mr. Mamdani.
Yeah, first, the answer in the subways is not more National Guard. I put the National Guard in the subways also. It's more NYPD is the answer. But the National Guard is not, he's not sending in the National Guard to do any real function. It's control, it's power. He's trying to say these Democrats don't know how to run these cities, and it's a political gesture by sending in the National Guard. He has said if the Assemblyman is elected, he will take over New York. Forget the National Guard.
But this is
he
not
has
the
said, I'm going to take the
question.
funds.
If they order the troops to come here, what would you do?
Well, I went through this with him. He sent the National Guard to 20 cities when I was governor. You know what city he didn't send them to? New York. Why? Because I said to him, don't you dare we don't need it, and he backed down, and he will again.
So that proves a good relationship
Wait a
with the
second.
president.
The president is going to back down to you, Andrew Cuomo. I know you think you're the toughest guy alive, but let me tell you something. You lost your own primary, right? You were rejected by your Democrats.
Why
and
didn't
you have
you
a
send the
difficult
National Guard?
understanding that what the term
All
no
right,
is.
all right.
You're
Thank
not going to stand up to Donald
thank you,
Trump.
thank you.
I agree
No,
with Curtis.
You're not going to stand up to Donald Trump.
Okay.
And he
Listen.
can't stand up to Donald Trump, who knocked
we have
him
a-
right
we have
on
a
his
follow-up.
tuchus.
We have a
Can I
You
say-
follow-up.
negotiate with him. You don't
Okay,
fight
just
with him
Lewitt,
because
thank you.
only the people of New York City will lose.
We
yeah.
do
Doesn't
have a
stand up
follow-up.
to negotiate.
We have a follow-up.
I'd like to see a show of hands. Are there any circumstances where any of you would allow the NYPD to cooperate with the National Guard if Trump sent them to New York? Show of hands. Yes? No takers. Okay. Moving on. If history is a guide, National Guard troops in the city could trigger protests. And we have questions for each of you about how you would handle that. So, Mr. Sliwa, you have been arrested for protesting migrant housing and for trying to serve Mayor Bill de Blasio with court papers. How would your NYPD handle protests? And would you continue participating in protests as mayor? You have 1 minute.
Well, I have been arrested oftentimes in civil disobedience. That is a great American right. But demonstrations have a time and a place. And it used to be before Bill de Blasio, I know he was your favorite mayor, Joel Mondami, that you'd have to get a permit. There's a time period you were in a structured area. You get a sound permit. It could be turned around in a day. If there was going to be civil disobedience, you discussed it with the police department. And obviously, you had an opportunity of expressing your anger or your outrage at whatever it was that motivated you to sit down in the street, to block traffic or block an egress. Now we have rampaging groups that go running through the streets, that enter all kinds of facilities and violate other people's rights. And there's no one who's willing to stop it. When I'm the mayor, there are rules and regulations. Everybody has the right to demonstrate, but you can't violate other people's rights, or you yourself must be arrested. And I would remove the face coverings. Remove those face coverings. Why are you afraid of identifying who you are as a demonstrator unless maybe you're an agent provocateur who's been sent in here to cause chaos?
Thank you. Rosarina?
The next question goes to you, Mr. Mamdani. You were arrested for blocking traffic in a pro-Palestinian protest, and you participated in a sit-in at Grand Central. Protesters offered block streets, bridges, and hubs like Grand Central. How much of that would you allow as mayor, and what's your line in having the NYPD arrest protesters? You have a minute.
Protest is a part of what makes this city's history what it is. It is a part of the First Amendment. We deserve to have a mayor who stands up for that First Amendment, especially as we have a president that's looking to shred it at each and every opportunity. And we will continue to have protests in this city, as we should, no matter who is the mayor. And the line will be on the question of breaking the law. What we have today, however, is an attempt to intimidate so many who are looking to use that freedom of expression to share their opinions about the city and the world around them. And to be frank with you, what New Yorkers are looking for is someone who can show leadership in City Hall. Because when they don't see that leadership, that's when so many take to the streets. And if you had a leader like Andrew Cuomo, who was telling people not to overreact when they see ICE agents abducting girls as young as 6 years old to deport them, many New Yorkers will take to the streets. We deserve to have a leader who will actually be following through on the values of the city. That's the leader that I'll be.
Mr. Mandani, just a quick follow-up. If you're elected, would you still participate in protests?
No, if I'm elected, I'll be the mayor, and I'll be leading the city from City Hall.
But no participation in protests, right?
The important thing is to lead from City Hall. That's what I'll be doing.
Okay.
Yeah. If I may respond, because I believe my name was invoked.
A very brief response, and then I have a question for you.
I dealt with ICE. I stood up with ICE. I had a war with ICE here in New York when I was governor. And I stood them down, and they moved out. What the assemblyman is saying is, he doesn't believe in law and order. He believes in defunding the police, disarming the police, disbanding the police. That's who he is. Abolish jails.
Sorry, I have a question for you. Okay, 15 seconds.
Very quickly.
No, we have to. And then we do just 15 seconds because we have a question for Mr. Cuomo.
Mr. Cuomo lies again and again and again. I am not running to defund.
All right, guys, we're going to be winding this down. So I want to stop here at this moment because I've got a couple things that I got to do for the day, and then we're going to come back. We're going to join this panel again as they go on to continue on their debate for mayoral candidate. And so once we get to that point later tonight, I hope you guys join me back again. Please consider subscribing, consider putting the notification bells on so that we can get back to this moment and continue to have this conversation and dialogue, especially in the chat. So I'm going to end the chat. I'm going to end the poll. This is 99 votes. The majority of you say that Mamdani will take the cake at 52% out of 99 votes. Again, that's Andrew Cuomo at 25 and Curtis Slew at 23%. Very interesting. I think you guys are probably right. I think you guys will most certainly find that to be true in the coming months. So we will most certainly get back to this debate, and hopefully we can finish it off and just talk about, I mean, it's a 2-hour long debate. We don't even know if we're going to even go through that whole thing. We're probably going to try to sit through and talk about this stuff and discuss this stuff. It's more going to be a reactionary live show. So otherwise, thank you so much for being here. Consider being here for tonight's live show, and we will talk and discuss more of that later. So I really appreciate you guys for joining me on this show this early in the day, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks.